Skylee with Punks for Progress. We need to talk about abortion, women's health issues, and women's rights. So I've decided to make a series of videos in response to the multiple states that have passed more restrictive legislation on abortion this year. In their hopes of attempting to overthrow Roe v. Wade. The best place to start for me was this graph that was put together by the New York Times. There have been 9 states that have passed more restrictive abortion laws, but there are other states that have passed other laws relating to abortion too. They have made the news recently because of what has been called the heartbeat bill, as opposed to the standard set by Roe v. Wade when an abortion becomes illegal. They have completely moved that up to when a heartbeat is detectable or somewhere in between there. When you read through the legislature and the texts of these laws, there is a lot more assaults on women's health issues than you could imagine. It's been pretty crazy looking through the text and the wording and the reasoning given by all these states for why they're going to restrict health care to women, restrict decision making from women, and take away our rights. So, like I said, I'm going to be making a series of videos about this. So to prepare for these series of videos, it was important for me to make an introductory video so you know who I am and where I'm coming from. I am a woman, I grew up in America, and what my experiences were that led me to hold these opinions about abortion and women's health and women's rights. These opinions I did not read in the Feminist Manifesto, I did not read in it's not the consensus of opinions of Antifa or any group of people on the left. These are my opinions and my reactions to reading these bills and understanding where I'm coming from in my experiences and having that organic reaction to what these lawmakers are trying to do to me. So to start, I grew up in a very conservative Christian family that taught me that abstinence until marriage was the only birth control that was appropriate, and for most of my life I thought that that's how I was going to live my life. There was no way I was going to deviate from that. Then came 25 and I started exploring. I know that I had no clue how important condoms were at that point. I figured I wasn't dirty. Why would I need to use a condom or ask anybody else to? That wasn't my place. Thank God for Planned Parenthood and their walk-in clinics. I had to go there multiple times. One time because I had a toy stuck up my vagina because I didn't know how to masturbate. Also had to go multiple times for the weird smells coming out from under there. And because I was so embarrassed to go there, I resorted to the internet to look for remedies. I've stuck vitamins up my vagina. I've rinsed it out with hydrogen peroxide because that's what the internet told me to do, which are pretty unsafe. When I did learn the importance of condoms and being on birth control, which I currently still on, even getting that, there's no consistency. So I'm prescribed a very generic birth control, and over the past year I've had 4 different types of birth control given to me from pharmacies, and these are generic. They're told, I'm told they're the same, they have the same level of hormones in them, but I can tell you my body reacts differently with every single one of them. So there's that inconsistency with birth control that I don't have any control over. Thank God the Affordable Care Act required insurances to, and providers or your employers and insurances to cover the cost of birth control, which you would think would aid in continuity of prescriptions. But I can tell you for me, even though I had a provider prescribing me birth control and I had insurance to cover it, I learned abruptly one day that my insurance was no longer contracting with the pharmacy I was filling my prescriptions at, and so I had to go through the process of switching over my prescriptions to a new pharmacy. and then being prescribed different birth control based on what was stocked there. Even though it was costing $0, because it was going through an insurance company, it had to go through somebody they were contracted with. So yeah, and then I think the biggest thing has been having sex with male partners, and now that I understand the importance of condoms, discussing and talking about it up front, that I want to use a condom when we have intercourse, and when it comes down to that point, the male still does not put on a condom. And that happens frequently, and it sucks. And so there is no shared burden, I believe, with the male gender and the male gender's understanding of how easily I can get pregnant. So anyway, so all of those reasons I just listed are restricting and causing incongruency with my ability to prevent pregnancy. And then these laws are going to limit my ability after I get pregnant to decide what I want to do with my body. So, yeah. So to give you a sneak peek at some of the things I'm going to be responding to and kind of laughing at a lot of these bills passed by these states, here is a clip of an Arkansas state senator, talking about his beliefs on abortion and their relation to birth control and education.
I have a question. You said that you are against abortion, which is certainly respectable. What are you doing to push forward for birth control?
Well, actually, birth control is not an abortion issue. That's a contraceptive issue,
Yes,
which is totally different issue. Access to education and access to contraception for women is an issue that is not even involved with the abortion issue that we discussed.
So if you don't facepalm yourself after hearing that, you have no idea what women's health is. And that's something else that's really important for me to iterate and reiterate. If you hold the opinion that abortion just strictly comes down to, am I killing someone or am I not killing someone? You have completely turned your back on the women's gender and sex and our experience in the world as it relates to sex and sex education and access to providers. And so that's what a lot of these bills are doing. So here's another sneak peek. This is Nebraska. They are not part of the heartbeat bill or anything like that, but they did pass some laws this year relating to abortion, and here's one of them, and there's 4 pages of new restrictions as it relates to abortion. And then at the very end, they decide to throw in that it's no longer considered public indecency to breastfeed in public. So I don't know where that's coming from, if that was just like an afterthought that they had this bill on abortion. Usually a bill is pretty specific to one topic, but they just decided to throw in the breastfeeding thing with that women's bill that we were doing anyway. Here's another example. Here's Arkansas's bill again. Arkansas had a lot to laugh at. They were pretty busy this year. But they, in a lot of these bills and texts, there's a section for reasonings behind what is going to be proposed in this bill and this law. And one of the reasonings here, the laws in all 50 states have now changed through safe haven laws to eliminate all burden of child care from women who do not want to care for a child. So it's saying the safe haven laws, if you don't know what those are, they're like the signs that are outside the fire department, police departments, some stores like Best Buy, some emergency departments, some pharmacies are safe havens where if a woman has birthed a baby and does not want to take care of it, can drop it off at one of these safe havens and apparently no questions asked. And so this law is stating because that exists, all burden is off the woman for childcare, completely disregarding the 9 to 10 months that you're going to be pregnant and not wanting the child. So there's a lot in all these texts, and I'm going to break them down into different videos, hopefully short videos, just to get you some education as to what else these laws say just besides this heartbeat restriction. And also as it relates to me, a woman in America, and my experience and how I feel attacked because of these bills.